Humanity has always looked at the stars, but what if the most fascinating evolution occurred beneath our feet? Deep within the Earth, isolated populations could have undergone radical changes, adapting to environments that surface dwellers cannot even imagine. At CryoQuest Documentaries, we explore the tantalizing possibility that some humans, cut off from the main genetic pool thousands of years ago, may have developed traits specifically tailored to a life in darkness. The concept begins simply. Without sunlight, pigmentation becomes unnecessary. Melanin, the very substance that protects our skin from ultraviolet radiation, offers no advantage in pitch-black tunnels and caverns. Over centuries, generations of subterranean humans could lose pigmentation entirely, becoming pale or even translucent, their skin almost otherworldly in appearance. But changes would extend far beyond skin color. Eyes, adapted to low light conditions, could grow larger, more sensitive, able to perceive the faintest glimmers of bioluminescence or phosphorescent minerals. Or perhaps the eyes might shrink or disappear entirely if vision became secondary to other senses. Enhanced hearing, a keen sense of smell, the ability to sense vibrations through rock or water, these could all evolve in a population cut off from the sun. Metabolic adaptations would be crucial as well. Life underground presents a radically different food landscape. Where surface humans rely on sunlight, crops, and livestock, subterranean humans would need to find alternative sources of nutrition. Fungi might become a staple, cultivated on mineral-rich walls or in damp crevices. Small insects, subterranean crustaceans, or specially adapted plants could provide protein. Over thousands of years, human bodies might evolve to extract nutrients from sources surface dwellers could never digest. Thermal regulation would also change. Deep underground, temperatures can vary but remain generally stable, requiring bodies to adapt to cooler, constant conditions rather than seasonal cycles. And then there's spatial adaptation. Humans living in tight tunnels might develop shorter, stockier builds for stability, or taller, thinner frames to navigate vertical shafts. Limbs could elongate, hands and feet grow dexterous to handle climbing, digging, and manipulating rock with ease. We can look to nature for precedent. Animals that have evolved in caves for millions of years exhibit astonishing adaptations. Cavefish lose pigmentation. Salamanders develop heightened senses. Insects evolve to navigate by touch and vibration. If these transformations can happen in such species, why not humans? At CryoQuest Documentaries, we explore the chilling possibility that some human populations never returned to the surface, adapting so completely to subterranean life that the world above became alien to them. Imagine entire communities developing unique cultures, languages, and technologies optimized for life in darkness. These humans could live entirely apart from surface civilization, their evolution proceeding independently for thousands of years. Myths across cultures, stories of dwarves, dark elves, and mysterious pale beings living underground might not be fantasy, but memories of encounters with such people. In Irish legend, the Sidhe retreated to mounds beneath the earth. Norse myths speak of Svartalfar, dark elves dwelling in subterranean realms. Japanese folklore mentions the Tsuchigamo, spider-like beings who navigate tunnels in darkness. Could these legends be distorted memories of real populations? At CryoQuest Documentaries, we delve into this tantalizing question, exploring how isolation, darkness, and necessity could give rise to humans almost unrecognizable to us today. But the implications go beyond physical adaptations. Think about intelligence and society evolving in the absence of sunlight. Generations of humans living in an enclosed, three-dimensional world would develop entirely new ways of thinking. Spatial awareness might be astonishingly advanced. Memory, navigation, and perception of the environment could reach levels that seem supernatural to surface dwellers. Social structures would likely evolve to manage scarce resources, limited space, and constant interdependence. Hierarchies, cooperatives, or systems entirely alien to our understanding could emerge, optimized for life underground. At CryoQuest Documentaries, we imagine these societies thriving silently beneath our feet, shaping their world with technologies and philosophies unimaginable to us. Over thousands of years, the gap between surface humans and these subterranean populations could grow so wide that meeting would be like encountering a completely alien species. Their very existence could explain the recurring human fascination with the other beneath the earth, the mysterious, pale, hidden beings who are sometimes helpful, sometimes dangerous, and always separate from the known world. The subterranean environment itself would drive innovation in ways surface civilizations never experienced. How do you grow food without sunlight? How do you circulate air in tunnels extending miles underground? How do you map vast dark spaces without light? Necessity would force the development of technology beyond anything surface humans could conceive. Artificial lighting, ventilation, subterranean agriculture, systems for water collection and purification, all these technologies could have evolved over millennia. Imagine a civilization that has had 12,000 years or even longer to perfect solutions for living in a sunless, enclosed, and resource-constrained environment. At CryoQuest Documentaries, we ask what could such a civilization have achieved while surface humans were still recovering from the Younger Dryas, still struggling with stone tools and basic agriculture. The possibilities are staggering. Isolation, evolution, adaptation, and innovation converge in this first chapter of our journey into the unknown. Beneath the surface, a hidden evolution may have unfolded in darkness, shaping humans into something both familiar and profoundly alien. Could the myths of dwarves, elves, and pale underground beings be fragments of real encounters, distorted over generations? Could the Earth itself hide civilizations we have never imagined, thriving beneath our very feet? At CryoQuest Documentaries, we begin by asking these questions, setting the stage for a journey into a world that is at once terrifying, fascinating, and utterly unknown. And as we peer into the deep places of the Earth, we are reminded that human curiosity has always driven us to explore, to imagine, to wonder, and that the ground we...
Legends and myths, echoes of the subterranean. Humanity has always told stories to explain what it cannot see. But what if the myths themselves were fragments of memory, faint, distorted echoes of encounters with something truly extraordinary, something that walked beneath the earth? At CryoQuest Documentaries, we explore the tantalizing possibility that the legends of underground beings, dwarves, elves, seath, dark spirits, and shadow people might have originated from real populations that evolved in isolation, hidden from the surface world for thousands of years. Across cultures and continents, these myths share astonishing similarities. European folklore speaks of dwarves who live inside mountains, master craftsmen who forge objects of incredible power, and beings whose knowledge surpasses human comprehension. Irish mythology tells of the seath, the fairy folk who retreated into the mounds beneath the land, living in realms invisible to those above. In Norse tradition, the Svartalfar, or dark elves, dwell in Svartalfheim, shaping metals and crafting tools in ways that appear magical. Even in Japanese folklore, the Tsuchigamo, spider-like entities, inhabit caves and tunnels, moving silently and unseen. The recurring patterns across unrelated cultures suggest that something extraordinary may have inspired these stories, a phenomenon so real, so persistent, that it became embedded in the collective human psyche. What would such beings look like if they were not mere fantasy? At CryoQuest Documentaries, we speculate that prolonged isolation underground would drive remarkable physical adaptations. Skin would be pale, almost ghostly, having no exposure to sunlight for centuries. Eyes might be extremely sensitive to low light, or even atrophied, replaced by enhanced hearing, touch, or other senses. Limbs could be elongated for navigating vertical shafts and tight tunnels, while bodies might evolve forms optimized for climbing, crawling, or scaling cavern walls. Even subtle traits, such as enhanced perception of vibrations or magnetic fields, might develop. Imagine a being capable of moving silently through kilometers of tunnels, navigating with a precision that seems impossible to surface humans. Generations underground would favor those with such traits, reinforcing abilities that appear supernatural to the uninitiated. CryoQuest Documentaries presents the hypothesis that myths of pale, elusive, and highly skilled underground beings could have been based on sightings of real populations, humans adapted to subterranean existence but transformed over millennia into something unrecognizable. But myths also describe intelligence and technology far beyond surface humans. Many legends emphasize the dwarves' craftsmanship, the elves' magical tools, and the fairy folks' wisdom. At CryoQuest Documentaries, we propose that these descriptions may reflect actual technological advancements developed to survive underground. Consider the challenges: producing light in perpetual darkness, generating food without sunlight, ventilating tunnels stretching for miles, and transporting resources through complex three-dimensional networks. A population that has faced these problems for thousands of years would have been forced to innovate in ways surface civilizations have only begun to imagine. Perhaps bioluminescent organisms were cultivated as light sources, or minerals capable of storing and emitting energy were used for illumination. Hydroponics, fungi cultivation, or even advanced chemical methods could have provided nutrition. Navigation might rely on sensing vibrations or electromagnetic patterns, systems that we would perceive as magical or impossible. Could the myths of dwarves forging magical tools or elves crafting enchanted artifacts actually be cultural memory of advanced underground technology, long misunderstood and interpreted as fantasy? Moreover, these legends often depict subterranean beings as ambivalent, sometimes helpful, sometimes hostile, and always separate from surface humans. CryoQuest Documentaries considers why such behavior might emerge naturally. Any population hiding in a hostile environment would prioritize secrecy and survival. Contact with surface humans, often more numerous, aggressive, and unpredictable, could be dangerous. They might observe quietly, intervene minimally, or avoid interaction entirely. This could explain why myths depict dwarves and elves as mysterious entities, appearing briefly before vanishing into darkness. Over generations, oral traditions would transform factual encounters into narrative legends, exaggerating abilities and reshaping intentions. The stories become moral tales, cultural memory, and cryptic warnings all at once. Patterns in the myths suggest sophistication. Underground societies might have complex hierarchies, specialized roles, and intricate networks of tunnels and chambers. CryoQuest Documentaries speculates that these civilizations, evolving independently for millennia, could have developed entirely different cultural frameworks. Concepts of time, space, and community might be alien to us. Vertical space might be perceived as lateral territory, darkness as comfort rather than fear, and social organization as necessity rather than choice. Artistic expression could rely on sound, touch, or bioluminescent displays rather than vision. Even philosophy, religion, and morality would evolve around the unique demands of subterranean life, producing worldviews that seem strange or incomprehensible to surface humans. Could myths be more than allegory, then? At CryoQuest Documentaries, we explore the unsettling possibility that they are echoes of encounters with real populations, humans who took refuge underground and became masters of their hidden realms. Across centuries, these encounters may have left traces in culture, language, and folklore, shaping human imagination while keeping the true scale of underground life secret. Myths tell us that beneath the mountains, in the deep caves, and within the labyrinthine tunnels, something lives, something aware, something hidden. As we piece together these fragments of human memory and cultural narrative, the line between myth and reality blurs. Legends may carry grains of truth, whispering of beings who are neither purely human nor entirely fantastical. They hint at civilizations that evolved under radically different pressures, in darkness, in isolation, mastering technology, biology, and society in ways we struggle to imagine. CryoQuest Documentaries invites viewers to consider the possibility that the old stories, dismissed for centuries as fantasy, could be distorted windows into a world we have never seen, a hidden civilization beneath our feet, waiting, watching, and perhaps wondering about us as we wonder about them.
Technology of the depths, innovation beyond the surface. If we accept, even as a possibility, that civilizations could exist underground, the next question is unavoidable. What kind of technology would they possess? At CryoQuest Documentaries, we delve into the idea that such civilizations, separated from the surface for millennia, would have developed tools, systems, and innovations entirely adapted to the subterranean environment. The pressures of life beneath the Earth's surface are unlike anything encountered on the surface. Perpetual darkness, limited horizontal space, extreme temperature variations, variable air composition, and the need to manage scarce resources with precision. To survive and to thrive in such a world, they would have been forced to invent in directions we have barely begun to imagine. Their technology would not merely mimic surface innovations, it would solve entirely different problems in ways that could appear magical or impossible to us. Consider energy. Surface civilizations have long relied on sunlight, fossil fuels, and open-air combustion. Underground, those options are limited or dangerous. CryoQuest Documentaries posits that subterranean civilizations may have harnessed geothermal energy millennia before surface humans discovered it. By tapping into the constant heat of the Earth, they could power entire networks of tunnels, illuminate vast underground chambers, and fuel machines that operate under high pressure and extreme temperature. Imagine geothermal plants hidden miles beneath the surface, generating power in ways that would seem both alien and highly efficient. Such energy could sustain lights, climate control, transportation systems, and manufacturing processes far beyond our current capabilities. Lighting in total darkness presents another challenge. For surface humans, fire and electricity dominate. But underground, open flames consume oxygen and produce hazardous gases, while electricity requires infrastructure that is difficult to maintain over complex three-dimensional networks. At CryoQuest Documentaries, we explore the possibility that subterranean populations developed bioluminescent systems, organisms or engineered materials that produce light through chemical reactions. Perhaps fungi, bacteria, or specially modified minerals were cultivated as living lamps, illuminating tunnels with a soft, sustainable glow. They may also have discovered methods of storing and emitting energy through phosphorescent stones, creating an ecosystem of light that is entirely self-sufficient and organically integrated. Some legends of glowing tunnels and enchanted caves may even stem from encounters with such technologies, misunderstood and mythologized over time. Food production underground would demand ingenuity as well. Without sunlight, agriculture as we know it is impossible. CryoQuest Documentaries considers that subterranean societies might have perfected fungiculture, growing mushrooms and other fungi that metabolize minerals from stone, or even cultivated algae under artificial light or chemical energy systems. Hydroponics and synthetic nutrition could have been developed centuries ago, predating our surface breakthroughs by thousands of years. Imagine entire civilizations fed by closed-loop systems where every resource is recycled, optimized, and renewed, an ecosystem engineered with precision and care, entirely invisible to us above. Their survival depends on perfect efficiency, forcing innovation in ways our sprawling surface civilizations rarely require. Transportation presents an entirely different set of challenges.
Wheels and surface vehicles are optimized for horizontal movement across open terrain, but underground, movement is vertical, multi-layered, and confined. CryoQuest Documentaries speculates that subterranean populations may have developed systems that move in 3 dimensions: elevators, pulley networks, pneumatic tubes, or even vehicles that interact directly with rock, capable of drilling, climbing, or reshaping tunnels as they travel. Could UFO sightings, objects accelerating at impossible speeds and disappearing into mountains or water, actually be glimpses of underground transport technology? Machines adapted to life in stone, optimized for stealth and survival, might appear incomprehensible to surface observers, interpreted as alien or supernatural. Communication in the depths would be equally fascinating. Sound and light behave differently underground. Vibrations travel through rock and stone with unique properties, and electromagnetic signals can propagate in unusual ways. CryoQuest Documentaries explores the idea that subterranean civilizations might communicate using low-frequency vibrations, seismic pulses, or electromagnetic fields, allowing instant interaction across vast distances of tunnels without reliance on air or conventional wiring. Navigation might integrate sensory perception that seems beyond human capability. Echolocation, magnetic field detection, or a form of biological radar evolved over thousands of generations. To us, these abilities could appear paranormal. To them, they are ordinary necessary tools for survival. Perhaps most intriguingly, technology evolves not in isolation, but in response to need and opportunity. At CryoQuest Documentaries, we consider how subterranean innovation might diverge fundamentally from ours. Surface technology develops linearly, constrained by gravity, light, and open space. Underground technology, by contrast, evolves to maximize efficiency in extreme environments, leading to solutions that we have not yet conceptualized. Energy, light, nutrition, transport, and communication would intertwine into systems that are simultaneously practical, sophisticated, and alien. The legends of magical artifacts, enchanted tools, and mysterious powers may be distorted memories of such technologies, glimpsed fleetingly by surface humans who could not comprehend their origin. If such a civilization exists, CryoQuest Documentaries proposes that their technological progress would have been uninterrupted for thousands of years. While surface humans faced wars, collapses, and cultural resets, subterranean populations could have developed uninterrupted. Over 12 millennia, they might have achieved feats that seem impossible to us: sustainable cities powered by geothermal energy, self-contained ecosystems, machines that navigate solid rock, and communication networks that operate through stone itself. Their science could encompass physics we haven't yet discovered, materials engineered under extreme pressure, and energy systems optimized for survival rather than convenience. In other words, the technology of the depths could be unimaginably advanced, hidden in plain sight beneath our feet, and entirely invisible to the casual observer. At CryoQuest Documentaries, we invite viewers to imagine this: a civilization that is human yet unrecognizable, thriving in the darkness, mastering technology in a way that bends the boundaries of our understanding. Every legend of dwarves' secret tools, elves' magical creations, or hidden cities in the mountains could contain kernels of truth, misinterpreted and transformed through generations of storytelling. The mysteries of the deep might not just be stories, they could be windows into a hidden world of science and engineering that defies comprehension, a world that has quietly advanced while ours stumbled on the surface. And if so, the question remains: if we continue to explore, to drill, to map deeper than ever before, will we finally encounter it? Will we see the technology of the deep and the civilization that created it for the first time? The very thought is both thrilling and terrifying, and CryoQuest Documentaries seeks to explore that space between possibility and reality, inviting our audience to peer into the darkness and wonder what truly
Encounters and evidence, the shadowy presence beneath.
As CryoQuest Documentaries explores, the question is not only what an underground civilization might look like, but whether we have already glimpsed it in fragments of evidence, anomalies, unexplained sightings, and strange phenomena that challenge conventional explanations. Throughout history, humans have reported objects, events, and encounters that defy rational understanding. Could these instances be indirect interactions with subterranean populations, glimpses of technologies or beings that remain hidden beneath the surface? At first glance, the idea may seem fantastical, bordering on science fiction, yet patterns emerge when one examines reports of unusual aerial objects, electromagnetic anomalies, sudden equipment failures, and mysterious tunnel discoveries across continents. CryoQuest Documentaries considers these incidents not as isolated occurrences, but as potential signals of a deeper reality, one that exists just beyond the reach of surface perception. Take, for example, the UFO phenomena. For decades, surface humans have witnessed objects performing maneuvers impossible under known physics: abrupt right-angle turns, instantaneous acceleration, disappearance into solid mountains or water, and complete defiance of inertia and gravity. CryoQuest Documentaries raises the provocative question, what if these are not extraterrestrial, but terrestrial? What if the aliens are actually our subterranean neighbors, operating vehicles and technologies designed for life in rock and darkness? Consider that underground transportation systems would require capabilities that seem impossible to us, tunneling through stone, navigating three-dimensional mazes, and manipulating energy sources unknown to surface science. To an observer untrained in these technologies, the effect would appear magical or alien, and indeed, historical accounts of flying objects might be distorted memories of subterranean craft glimpsed from the surface, misinterpreted and mythologized over time. Electromagnetic interference often accompanies these sightings. Compasses spin, electronics fail, and vehicles lose power in the vicinity of unexplained objects. CryoQuest Documentaries posits that this could be a natural consequence of underground technology, which may rely heavily on electromagnetic manipulation for energy, propulsion, and communication. What seems paranormal to us could be entirely functional within the environment of the deep. If subterranean societies utilize vibrations, low-frequency pulses, or electromagnetic fields to communicate or navigate, their operations near the surface could wreak havoc on our relatively primitive systems. In effect, these disturbances are unintentional signatures of a civilization that has mastered principles of physics that we have yet to fully understand. Historical anecdotes offer further tantalizing clues. Mining operations abruptly halted due to strange noises coming from solid rock, unexplained cavities encountered in tunnels, and equipment failures that defy engineering expectations have been reported in several countries, from China to South Africa. CryoQuest Documentaries highlights the Iceland drilling project of 2009, officially terminated due to a magma chamber, but accompanied by reports of electromagnetic anomalies and artificial vibrations prior to shutdown. These occurrences could be explained by harsh geology or equipment malfunction, but when patterns emerge across decades, regions, and different types of projects, the coincidence becomes harder to accept. What if these interruptions represent protective measures by subterranean populations, preventing the surface from intruding into their carefully maintained domains? Secrecy surrounding deep Earth projects fuels speculation further. Seemingly benign information, unexplained halts in exploration projects, and classification restrictions by deep Earth agencies raise the unsettling question: what would require such intense secrecy if not the presence of intelligent activity? If a civilization truly exists beneath us, even the accidental discovery of their infrastructure could trigger global concern, political tension, or mass panic. The layers of classification may not just be about minerals, oil, or geothermal energy. They may be about protecting the knowledge of an advanced, hidden intelligence that has coexisted alongside humanity for millennia. Reports of subterranean encounters are often dismissed or ridiculed, but CryoQuest Documentaries argues that the sheer volume and consistency of anomalies deserve attention. Eyewitness accounts describe humans interacting with unusual beings in caves, tunnels, or remote mountainous areas, pale figures, sensitive to light, sometimes seemingly observing or even guiding humans without revealing themselves fully. Folklore across cultures contains strikingly similar stories: dwarves, elves, and other subterranean beings whose characteristics align with plausible evolutionary adaptations to darkness and isolation. Could these myths be distorted memories of interactions between surface humans and a civilization that chose to remain hidden, revealing themselves only sparingly, if at all? Perhaps the most compelling argument is a pattern that spans millennia. From ancient cave paintings depicting beings with unusual features, to medieval tales of hidden societies in the mountains, to modern UFO reports near volcanic or geologically active areas, there is a thread of consistency. CryoQuest Documentaries suggests this is not mere coincidence. Instead, it may indicate that a shadowy presence beneath us has been interacting with or observing surface humans for generations, careful to remain unseen, using advanced technology and sophisticated strategies to maintain secrecy. And as our drilling, mapping, and exploration capabilities increase, that shadow grows thinner. Each new borehole, each seismic scan, each tunnel may bring us closer to the moment when this hidden civilization can no longer avoid contact. At CryoQuest Documentaries, we confront the profound implications of these possibilities. If encounters and evidence point to something real beneath us, it challenges everything we understand about history, civilization, and human evolution. We may be looking at a society older than ours, evolving under pressures we can scarcely imagine, observing us as anthropologists might study another species. Their decisions to reveal themselves, to remain hidden, to intervene or ignore would reflect strategic thinking honed over thousands of years, calibrated to ensure their survival. And the question that lingers over every anomaly, every unexplained phenomenon, every legend and myth is simple yet terrifying. Are we merely observers of their world, or are we unknowingly approaching the moment when our two civilizations will finally intersect?
Secrets and survival. Why they remain hidden. CryoQuest Documentaries delves into a question that lies at the very heart of the underground civilization theory. If such beings exist, and if their technology is advanced beyond anything humanity has conceived, why remain hidden? The answer, while speculative, seems almost self-evident when viewed through the lens of history and human behavior. Throughout human civilization, whenever a technologically superior society encounters a less advanced one, the consequences are rarely benign. Conquest, colonization, resource exploitation, and cultural suppression have been the consistent outcomes, from the dawn of empires in Mesopotamia to the European colonization of the Americas. The pattern is universal. The more advanced dominate the less advanced, driven by a mixture of curiosity, greed, and the innate desire to expand. A subterranean civilization, possessing knowledge and tools honed over millennia in isolation, would be acutely aware of this pattern. Imagine a society that has lived beneath the surface for 12,000 years, or perhaps much longer, developing technologies, social structures, and philosophies completely optimized for their unique environment. CryoQuest Documentaries suggests that such a civilization would have witnessed surface humans repeatedly fall into cycles of war, resource depletion, and environmental destruction. They would understand that revealing themselves would inevitably provoke intrusion, conflict, or exploitation. From their perspective, remaining hidden is not weakness, but an act of calculated survival. Unlike surface civilizations, whose dominance often depends on expansion, an underground society might prioritize sustainability, secrecy, and long-term continuity over immediate visibility. Their very survival depends on avoidance, on strategic invisibility, and on the careful management of contact with surface humanity. CryoQuest Documentaries explores the implications of this secrecy. If surface humans were to discover these subterranean societies, the results could be catastrophic, not because the underground civilization is malevolent, but because human history demonstrates our inability to coexist peacefully with perceived others when power imbalances exist. There is an inherent drive to explore, to claim, to utilize resources, even when such actions risk destabilizing established systems. Once humanity realized the existence of vast underground spaces rich in minerals, energy sources, or advanced technologies, there would be a rush to exploit them. Mining operations, drilling projects, and infrastructure development could unintentionally provoke confrontation. For the underground civilization, remaining hidden is an act of prudence, a strategy to prevent the costly mistakes that surface humans make repeatedly. But secrecy is not absolute. CryoQuest documentaries highlights that even the most careful societies cannot remain entirely undetected indefinitely. Deep earth drilling projects, geophysical surveys, and tunneling operations are increasing in scope and sophistication. From geothermal exploration in Iceland to advanced mining in South Africa and China, humans are probing deeper than ever before, reaching geological layers that were once thought inaccessible. Each borehole, each scanning project, each experimental tunnel risks brushing against territories the subterranean inhabitants have marked as off-limits. It is plausible, CryoQuest documentary speculates, that some of the unexplained equipment failures, anomalous seismic readings, and sudden project shutdowns may be subtle warnings or interventions by these hidden populations, protecting their spaces without revealing their presence fully. CryoQuest documentaries considers another dimension. Their technology and strategic intelligence may allow them to observe and influence surface activity without direct contact. Vibrational communication, electromagnetic interference, or remote monitoring through sophisticated sensors could enable them to maintain awareness of human movements and intentions. Such capabilities would allow a civilization to anticipate intrusion, manage risk, and remain undetected while surface humanity continues its oblivious expansion. The anomalies we sometimes perceive, sudden compass failures, electrical malfunctions, inexplicable structural collapses, might represent nothing more than protective measures executed with precision, a reminder that the world beneath us is alive and responsive. Furthermore, CryoQuest documentaries emphasizes the psychological and cultural adaptations that would reinforce their secrecy. A civilization molded by darkness, limited resources, and the constant necessity of survival would likely develop values that prioritize collective safety, discretion, and resource management over individual recognition. Openness, transparency, or ambition to dominate might be considered reckless or dangerous. This cultural conditioning would create a society that naturally avoids contact with surface humans, not out of fear, but because the lessons of millennia have dictated that visibility equates to vulnerability. Exposure would not only risk survival, it could disrupt an entire social and technological ecosystem painstakingly maintained over thousands of years. CryoQuest documentaries also speculates about the possibility of controlled exposure. Perhaps occasional sightings, legends, and unexplained phenomena are deliberate, designed to manage human curiosity and create boundaries without revealing their full presence. Folklore from cultures worldwide, dwarves, elves, shadow people, share remarkable thematic similarities, as though surface humans retained fragmented memories of interactions that were once more direct. Could these myths be an ancient subconscious acknowledgement of subterranean neighbors, a coded understanding that has persisted because the underground civilization has managed its influence carefully over centuries? Finally, CryoQuest documentaries ponders the ethical dimension. If we were to confirm the existence of such a society, humanity would face unprecedented moral and strategic decisions. How should we approach contact? Could we coexist peacefully, respecting their autonomy, while integrating discoveries that could accelerate our technological and cultural development? Or would human ambition, curiosity, and resource hunger inevitably provoke conflict? For the underground civilization, secrecy is a form of wisdom, an acknowledgement of human tendencies, and a strategy to maintain equilibrium. For us, it is a haunting reminder that there may be entire worlds beneath our feet, ancient and advanced, whose decisions and existence have remained hidden, waiting for the day when our relentless probing may finally.
Technology and adaptation, a civilization shaped by darkness. CryoQuest documentaries invites viewers to consider a civilization unlike any on the surface. A society that has evolved not just physically and culturally, but technologically, in an environment completely alien to human norms. For thousands of years, or perhaps tens of thousands, they have lived in darkness, in a three-dimensional labyrinth of stone, voids, and tunnels, entirely removed from sunlight, sky, and surface constraints. Their technologies would not be extrapolations of our own. They would be solutions to problems that we cannot fully imagine. The very nature of their environment, limited light, enclosed spaces, extreme pressures, and geothermal heat, would have dictated innovations and adaptations that might seem magical to us. Imagine a civilization that never needed to invent wheels to move across open terrain or combustion engines to power machines dependent on oxygen-rich air. Instead, every tool, every device, every form of energy would be tailored to darkness, rock, and extreme environmental constraints. CryoQuest documentaries speculates that their energy systems could be extraordinary. Geothermal energy, long understood superficially on the surface, would be refined and harnessed with precision. While humans still struggle to efficiently tap the planet's internal heat, an underground civilization could have mastered it millennia ago, creating stable, clean, and virtually limitless energy sources. Perhaps they have developed materials capable of withstanding immense heat and pressure, allowing for drilling, tunneling, or energy extraction at depths that we cannot currently reach. We might envision a network of subterranean reactors powered by heat differentials, leveraging chemical and geological interactions in ways that modern science has not yet conceptualized. CryoQuest documentaries emphasizes that such energy mastery would fundamentally reshape every aspect of their society, from transportation to food production to communication, providing autonomy and resilience on a scale that surface civilizations might find difficult to comprehend. Lighting, too, would evolve along a path inconceivable to surface humans. CryoQuest documentaries suggests bioluminescence as a probable primary source of illumination. Engineered or cultivated life forms, fungi or bacteria that produce controlled light through chemical processes. Perhaps walls glow subtly with genetically or chemically enhanced bioluminescence, or entire chambers shine with patterns of living light that serve both aesthetic and practical functions. They might also harness phosphorescent minerals that store ambient energy, or even use wavelengths of light invisible to us, infrared or ultraviolet, allowing navigation, signaling, and security without relying on visible light at all. For a civilization that has never required sunlight, these technologies would feel intuitive and natural, part of the very rhythm of daily life underground. Food production, CryoQuest documentaries theorizes, would be another area where underground ingenuity has transformed survival into art. Without sunlight, conventional agriculture is impossible, so these civilizations might have perfected systems of fungiculture, cultivating vast networks of nutrient-rich fungi adapted to subterranean conditions. They could have developed hydroponics or chemical-based synthetic food systems, using mineral-rich water or geothermal energy to sustain nutrition.
Perhaps they discovered ways to metabolize chemical energy directly, bypassing organic consumption entirely. Surface humans experimenting with lab-grown meat, algae cultivation, or microbial energy are only beginning to scratch the surface of solutions that a subterranean society would have mastered centuries or millennia ago. These adaptations would not merely sustain life, they would allow a civilization to thrive in isolation, independent of external input, creating an ecosystem that is self-sufficient, efficient, and resilient. CryoQuest documentaries further speculates about transportation. Conventional vehicles are optimized for surface travel. Wheels, engines, and aerodynamics respond to open landscapes, friction, and gravity. Underground, where tunnels twist vertically, horizontally, and unpredictably, movement demands entirely different designs. Perhaps they use systems that navigate through rock, sliding, climbing, or gliding along mineral surfaces. Perhaps they have engineered devices capable of manipulating or reshaping stone itself, creating paths and chambers as they move. Such technologies could easily explain reports of unidentified flying objects, UFOs, that appear to vanish into mountains, melt into solid rock, or perform impossible maneuvers. To a surface observer, these would seem to defy physics, yet CryoQuest documentaries proposes that they might be perfectly ordinary solutions for beings who have optimized movement in three-dimensional subterranean space for thousands of years. Communication would be no less extraordinary. Humans rely on sound waves through air, electromagnetic waves, and visual signals. But underground, air is limited, surfaces are irregular, and distances can be vast. CryoQuest documentaries theorizes that subterranean civilizations could communicate using low-frequency vibrations transmitted through rock, seismic pulses that can traverse miles without attenuation, or electromagnetic fields manipulated with precision. These methods would allow coordination across enormous distances without reliance on conventional technology, essentially creating a natural, global-scale network beneath the surface. For surface humans, these methods might appear paranormal or inexplicable, giving rise to myths and stories of beings with mysterious or magical powers. CryoQuest documentaries also consider sensory adaptation. Eyes might be enhanced to perceive infrared, ultraviolet, or bioluminescent patterns invisible to surface humans. Hearing, touch, and proprioception could be heightened to navigate complex, dark environments. Perhaps their perception of time, space, and motion has diverged entirely from ours, leading to ways of thinking and interacting with the world that would seem alien. Their scientific understanding, their physical intuitions, and their technological designs might operate on principles completely unfamiliar to surface humans. What we would call supernatural, magical, or inexplicable might be ordinary within the context of their reality. Finally, CryoQuest documentaries reflects on the implications for humans. If these beings exist, if they have honed technology, culture, and understanding of physics in ways that outstrip our own, then the encounters surface humans have recorded, UFOs, unexplained seismic anomalies, electromagnetic disturbances, may be glimpses into a civilization that is not alien in origin, but alien in adaptation. Their technology, optimized for survival underground, might intersect with our world in subtle, mysterious ways, leaving traces that are tantalizing yet frustratingly incomplete. CryoQuest documentaries leaves viewers with this haunting consideration. The advanced civilization beneath us might not need to reveal itself fully. For its very presence, its subtle manipulations, and its hidden mastery over the subterranean world is enough to challenge our understanding of what is possible, and to remind us that the Earth is far stranger than we dare to imagine.
The threshold of discovery, confronting the unknown. CryoQuest documentaries invites you to stand on the edge of possibility, where the known world ends and the unseen begins. For millennia, humanity has explored the surface,
charted the skies, and mapped oceans, yet beneath our feet lies a frontier untouched, unexplored, and enigmatic. The concept of an underground civilization challenges everything we believe about history, biology, and the very nature of intelligence. If such a society exists, separated from surface humanity for tens of thousands of years, or perhaps even longer, then our assumptions about human uniqueness, progress, and control over our environment are incomplete, naive even. CryoQuest documentaries encourages viewers to imagine the sheer scale of this hidden world: endless tunnels, vast chambers, subterranean rivers, geothermal vents, and bioluminescent landscapes, all teeming with life and activity that remains entirely invisible to us. The threshold of discovery is both exciting and terrifying. CryoQuest documentaries emphasizes that the implications of uncovering such a civilization are profound. Consider the physical reality first. If humans, or a human-descended species, have adapted to life underground for millennia, the physiological changes would be extreme. Pale or translucent skin from the absence of sunlight, eyes adapted to dim or non-visible light, heightened senses of hearing, touch, and perhaps even entirely new sensory abilities that allow navigation and communication in total darkness. Limbs and body proportions could be optimized for vertical and horizontal movement in confined spaces, and the perception of space, time, and risk might differ fundamentally from our own. From the surface perspective, these beings would appear alien, uncanny even, yet every adaptation would be a testament to survival and ingenuity within an environment that we can barely comprehend. CryoQuest documentaries considers the cultural ramifications of such a discovery. Culture evolves rapidly when isolated from other influences, and over thousands of generations, the underground civilization would develop social structures, philosophies, and arts entirely suited to subterranean life. They might value collective survival over individual expression, develop intricate mapping systems and histories encoded in non-visual forms, and create storytelling traditions that rely on sound, vibration, and bioluminescent displays rather than written symbols. Their understanding of the cosmos would be shaped not by stars, but by the geometry and dynamics of the underground spaces they inhabit. Religion, mythology, and ethical systems could revolve around the Earth itself, geothermal phenomena, and the cycles of subterranean ecosystems, making them fundamentally different from surface human traditions. CryoQuest documentaries highlights the possibility that their moral and social frameworks might appear alien or even incomprehensible, yet they would be coherent, functional, and optimized for their reality. Technologically, the gap between surface and subterranean civilizations could be vast. CryoQuest documentaries speculate that their tools and systems would be designed to overcome constraints unknown to us. Energy extraction might exploit geothermal heat, chemical gradients, or mineral properties. Transportation could involve devices that glide through rock, manipulate gravitational fields, or exploit pressure differentials. Communication might be seismic, electromagnetic, or biochemical, allowing instantaneous coordination across vast distances. What appears supernatural, paranormal, or impossible in UFO reports could in fact be mundane manifestations of subterranean technology, optimized for a three-dimensional labyrinthine environment rather than our open-sky world. The advanced methods they employ could make interactions with the surface almost incomprehensible, leaving us to interpret glimpses of their existence as mystery, myth, or magic. CryoQuest documentaries further ponders the psychological dimensions of discovery. Humanity is driven to explore, to probe, to push boundaries. Deep drilling projects, subterranean mining operations, and scientific expeditions all inch closer to the hidden realms beneath us. Yet if a civilization lies there, what would our intrusion signify? For the underground inhabitants, surface humans might be seen as reckless, noisy, and potentially dangerous, curious invaders whose technology and behavior could threaten survival. For us, the discovery would challenge the notion of control, forcing us to confront the fact that we do not dominate this planet as completely as we believe. The presence of another intelligent civilization would demand reconsideration of diplomacy, ethics, and survival strategies on a planetary scale. CryoQuest documentaries emphasizes the tension of proximity. We may be unaware, but the threshold is narrowing, and the consequences of crossing it unknowable. The mystery is compounded by the historical, folkloric, and anecdotal evidence that has persisted across cultures for centuries. Stories of dwarves, elves, fairies, and subterranean beings may contain kernels of truth, distorted through time, but hinting at encounters or observations of real populations living underground. CryoQuest documentaries suggests that myths are memory fragments, survival stories encoded in oral tradition, hinting at a hidden world that humanity instinctively sensed but could not fully comprehend. These legends act as breadcrumbs, a subtle map of imagination and experience, pointing towards a subterranean reality that exists at the intersection of science, speculation, and folklore. Finally, CryoQuest documentaries leaves viewers with a profound question. What if the hidden civilization is already aware of us, monitoring our progress while remaining hidden? Our attempts to explore, drill, and penetrate the Earth's depths may already be noted, measured, and managed. The evidence of unexplained anomalies, sudden project cancellations, and strange readings in deep drilling operations could be indications of an intelligence that values secrecy and patience. Perhaps they wait for a moment when contact can occur on their terms, or perhaps they continue to observe as we unknowingly approach the edge of their world. The uncertainty is deliberate, the tension palpable, and the mystery enduring. As we stand on the thin surface of a vast and layered world, CryoQuest documentaries urges viewers to contemplate the possibilities that lie below. The deep places of the Earth remain largely unexplored, filled with potential wonders, dangers, and intelligence beyond our understanding. The secrets of the underground civilization, real or imagined, challenge our assumptions, provoke our curiosity, and expand our sense of what is possible. Perhaps the boundary between surface and depth will never be fully crossed, and perhaps it should remain so, for the very act of mystery drives exploration, imagination, and the human spirit itself. CryoQuest documentaries reminds us that the Earth is deeper, stranger, and far more mysterious than we dare to believe, and that the true unknown may be closer than we ever imagined, waiting silently beneath our feet, watching, listening, and enduring through the ages.